Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Joining me today is Dr. Sabrin Farooqui, a community leader and advocate for the immigrants and refugees in Australia. She is the founder and president of the Cultural Diversity Network Incorporated, CDNI. Among other things, her work focuses on issues pertaining to women such as domestic violence, access to employment and education, and legal aid to the illiterate members of the migrant community. Dr. Sabrin is an immigrant from Bangladesh herself, coming to Australia 20 years ago. Since then, she has volunteered her services on a number of platforms as a strong advocate for immigrant issues. And this year, in 2024, she has been recognized by the Australian state with the Order of Australia Medal, one of the highest civilian honors in the country. This is a conversation I had been chasing for quite some time, and what better occasion to discuss this superwoman and her efforts than this. Dr. Sabrin is the living embodiment of what this podcast represents, and sharing her story has honestly been a great honor. As always, I thank you guys for your support. If you are new to the podcast, kindly consider subscribing. If you are already subscribed, please leave us a comment and a like. Your engagement with my videos is the only thing that helps this channel grow. Also, if you haven't done already, please follow us on all of our social media accounts for all of our short form content. All of the highlights from this conversation and all of my past conversations are going to be up there, so kindly do check that out. But anyways, without further ado, this is my conversation with Dr. Sabrin Farooqui in The Gap. Have you been keeping busy?
Very busy. I'll tell you about my life then. So I have a number of full-time jobs. For example, one is actual job, federal government job that I do. That pays me. That's why I can't leave it.
Yeah.
Second thing is I'm in politics. I'm a councillor in Cumberland City Council. That is actually full-time job. That pays you like casual, nothing, 500 per week. But that's a full-time job. That's a dedication.
Of course.
Third one is my CDNI. That is my life. That's my passion. That's me, my heart. Third job. I'm young, like my son is 13 years old. So, like I've been doing these things for a while and he was really young. So number 5 is me. Like I have myself.
If you get any time left, then that is for yourself.
That's me, yeah. Actually, I have a number of hobbies which I'm not doing, but I have the passion, art and all those things. So life is pretty busy. Other than these 4 characters, I have other things. Like personally, I help a lot of people. Connection, networking, for example. Network means keeping connection. And these things happen and So life is pretty full on. But I enjoy the community activities. That's why I can do it. But it's hard, like balancing things.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So, and the whole road is new for me as a migrant.
Yeah.
So you have to know where you're going sometimes. Most of the time, I don't know where I'm going. So I just go.
Yeah.
All right. So with all my motivation. So it's difficult. When there is someone, Chacha Mama, that will tell you what to do. In Bangladesh, it happens, what to do.
Yes.
If you belong to a particular family, you become something, you know. So, but that doesn't happen here. So everything is new for us as a migrant. So it's difficult, but when you can do it, it's more enjoyable.
So I guess the best way to contextualize your journey for everyone who's listening and for myself is just to take us back to the background of who Sabrin Farooqui is. Like your early life back in Bangladesh, your early education, family background. Tell us something about that.
All right. So I was born and brought up in Dhaka, Bangladesh. And I went to Vikarna Sanun School and College, which is a girls' school, famous girls' school in Dhaka. From year 1 to 12, then I finished, and then I went to Dhaka University, did my honors and masters in English language teaching, and then I taught there for some times, 1 year in a university. Then I came here to do another masters. By that time, I got married there, so I came with my husband, both of us as students.
Yep.
And then while doing masters, I got an opportunity for PhD, and I always had the intention to go back to teaching. So for a teacher, PhD is important. So I thought, all right, I'll do it, and then I'll go back to Dhaka. I never had any intention to stay back in Australia.
Yeah.
But when I got an opportunity of PhD, I thought I'll do it. While doing it, like my husband started his work here. So he decided that we should stay here. It's a good opportunity, good country. So then we both decided, all right, let's get PR and settle here. So it was a bit difficult decision for me because I didn't have the intention to stay back because I was seeing myself as a university teacher there in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Yeah, that was my dream. So, and obviously, my family, I'm the youngest of 5 siblings. And so I have a big family, mashallah, in Bangladesh, my parents and uncles, aunties, as you know. And so youngest child from a big family, settling overseas with no one from my family here. It was very difficult decision for me.
And difficult for your parents to accept as well.
Exactly. They couldn't accept for a long time. And actually everyone, including my brothers, sisters, and everyone said, no, you should come back. Because that's normal. I had a very good life in Bangladesh. So there was no shortcoming there. So that life was pretty easy for me there. And I was doing well personally, career-wise. So there was no reason that time to stay back in Australia. And my homesickness was the worst reason, I will say. That was the reason that was pulling me to Bangladesh. So it was a difficult decision for me. But now I think, it's a good decision I took.
Yeah, I guess it's like life is all about... One of the things I'm realizing, I'm 33 now, one of the things that I'm realizing as you grow older is that you are faced with a lot of decisions in life and there is necessarily not a correct or an incorrect answer. And you just have to sometimes take decisions based on your circumstances and what you're going through at that moment or what you're feeling like.
You're right. Yeah. I mean, you do the best. Like you take the best decision at that time.
At that time.
Yeah, without knowing what will happen in future. None of us know it, right?
Yes.
So we take the decision on the basis of that judgment. So life started in Australia like that. So what else? I finished my PhD, then moved to, so I started teaching here in Sydney University in research in education, in the education faculty. And then I had my first baby after PhD. So then, but I always had the intention. So that was like a part-time job. At the same time, I started public service at the same time. So 2 part-time jobs. And I always had the intention to help the community. I'm not from disadvantaged family or I don't have the disadvantaged background, but I always had the intention to help people because back in Bangladesh, I saw my parents doing it. Helping other disadvantaged people. So probably it was the feeling or the thing I saw there. And then I thought that, all right, I'll do it once my son is a little older. So when he was about 4 or 5 years old, then I started looking for voluntary job along with my 2 part-time jobs that time. So then I looked for volunteer, kept looking at it. It was not easy. It's a funny thing. Like it's not easy to get a voluntary job, although you're not paid, but not every organization has that structure to give you voluntary role. So interestingly, I got an opportunity in SSI, Settlement Services International. So to do some voluntary job. And there I saw refugees for the first time in life. And the role I was playing was, what was the role? I was helping them to look for job, preparing CV and getting ready for interviews. So preparing job, I can't remember the role name, but that was the thing. And when I was writing CVs for them, I realized that they have really a very rich background back in their country. Someone, a big singer from Iran was sitting with me and writing a CV because he just needs to start his life here. I felt so bad. Like it was a regular thing for me to see them. Like someone was saying, I have a very big business. I was a celebrity somewhere, Iran or some other place, Iraq. But here, he's just looking for a job. So that's how I started seeing issue of refugee settlement. So my voluntary role started there.
It's very difficult to, unless you actually interact with refugees, like you said, until you actually see them and you hear their stories, it's very difficult for us to relate to the circumstances that they are going through. Like you said, one of the things that I find very frustrating about English-speaking countries, a lot of countries that people tend to migrate to, is that just because people coming into the country cannot speak English properly, people tend to associate them as worthless. people think that just because somebody is not able to speak the language properly, that means that that person has no depth or no intellect, which is not the case. Like you said, like a lot of refugees coming in, they had businesses, they were celebrities, they had vocations, and everybody coming in had some kind of innate knowledge about a certain specific field. And just because of their circumstances, they were coming over here. Circumstances that are beyond their control, political circumstances, geopolitical circumstances, you know, and they're just trying to escape that. They're trying to escape persecution and trying to make a better life for themselves. And in most cases, they're trying to make a better life for their children, you know.
Of course,
And it's very sad to see the way that these people are treated or misjudged. And for the services that like you were providing, it's very important that the government needs to have something in place that equips these people to be able to compete in the market on the same level. Or at least provides them with the like maybe a quota system or maybe some facilities that helps them compete in the market on the same level.
Oh yeah, of course. And it is difficult for people whose English is not like first language. Then it is difficult for them even to navigate the system. But what you are saying that they are undervalued, if they don't speak English as a first language. But if you see the examples now, you're right saying that, because people think, they can't speak English properly. But they have full of values, all right? So they are bringing a lot of values to this country. Of course. So we need to value them. And that day has come when we can see a lot of people who are recognized as a contributor. Like they are contributing a lot, especially when I'm working in the community service area. I can see a lot of people who are first generation migrants, or even they were refugees. They are contributing big time. In Australia, like the mainstream, they are recognizing it. So this is the time where the value probably is changing. It is a transition time where people can see the value they're bringing. Some people see. And I'm hopeful that things are changing. Hopefully. This attitude will change. And particularly in Melbourne, Sydney, this sort of area where we see diverse community, it's easier to change these things. We probably need to take some more initiative to show people that, you see, these people are contributing to the society as well. To the society and this new country. They are here as an adult, like you, like me, who came here as migrant in an adult age. I always say, like, I was born again. Isn't it like that?
Of course.
Yeah, like you were brought up in some place with different values, culture, religion. Suddenly you have been taken out and, our will, we came here for a reason. But you are born again.
Yes, you have the opportunity.
Yeah. It's we are born again. It's positive, negative side. Negative side in the sense that you have to adjust with the whole thing. But yeah, we go through difficulties in navigating system, but we need to be recognized for the contribution we're making, which is happening now. So I think that attitude will change, inshallah.
That's good. I believe social media and the internet has helped open up a lot of those barriers, helped reduce a lot of those barriers as such. Yes. So for yourself, like you said, once you started getting into volunteer work and started doing community work, I want to understand, how did that motivation in you come about that you wanted to take part in something like this? Like, was it something you were always born with?
That's interesting. As I said, my parents, it was not a formal thing. We didn't have any organization to help disadvantaged people. But I saw there are poor people around us in Dhaka. My parents always used to help them. And since I was a kid, I also used to help them. I'll give you an example. You know how people work as maid in our country for home? I used to write letter for their families on behalf of them. So because I was educated, they were not. And when I was in school, like they used to sit with me and used to say that I want to say this to my father. So I used to write a letter. That's cute. After a long time, I'm remembering that. So probably it was inherited. I inherited something, but for some reasons, I always wanted to help women. I wanted to work in the area of disadvantaged women. I was looking for that sort of service, but I couldn't find anything. I can still remember I called many organizations and said, do you take volunteer? Do you have any volunteer role in Sydney? And I was working in two places that time, Sydney University and Bureau of Statistics, and I had a little baby. But I was looking for at least 1 day, 2 hours work, something like that. Depends on your intention, probably. I finally got it, but it was for refugee settlement. And that gave me a new exposure to a whole new world.
Right.
I started seeing refugees then. Then I became passionate about their rights. And interestingly, at the same time, I joined Labour Party, almost similar time. And I found there is a team called Labour for Refugees. So I started contacting them because I thought, what do they do? How do they help refugees? And then I found actually they fight for refugee right. They fight to change the refugee policy in Labour Party platform.
Sure.
And they voice many concerns that refugees have. So yeah, that's what happened. That I joined the team, and then I got actively involved in Labour for Refugees. So as you understand, two streams came together: my refugee passion or my human rights passion, and Labour Party.
Yeah.
Because I joined Labour Party, and Labour for Refugees was there. So that's how the whole journey started. And I think my passion for helping disadvantaged, that is the key thing.
That joined everything together.
Yeah.
Okay. So a number of things over there. So first off, how did you come about the idea of joining the Labour Party? So because what I'm trying to understand is that for a migrant who's coming into Australia, we don't have any knowledge of the political landscape over here, right? We don't understand the party system. We don't understand what each party represents, etc., etc. So was it that you joined up the Labour Party because of that refugee or migrant connection, or was it just that the opportunity presented itself at that moment and you just got involved and then you realized that okay, Labour Party is doing something like this?
Yeah, no, I joined Labour Party before knowing about Labour for Refugees. Labour for Refugees came just after joining it.
Sure.
I joined Labour Party because, all right, I joined politics. Let's talk about politics first, then Labour Party.
Yeah.
So I joined politics because I was interested in contributing in policy making. And that was the main reason. And I thought that because it's a diverse community that we have here in Australia, and our voice needs to be reflected.
100%.
Yeah. As a migrant, I saw there are many gaps in the system. Australian government doing fantastic in helping, but still there are cracks, there are gaps. So even with all the degrees I had, I found difficulty in settlement. In the sense, there are many things we didn't know. There are systems, there are difficulty in navigating systems. So I thought if we are in those positions, if we have representatives, then it's better or it's easier to reflect our voice, our concern. And I want to be in the decision-making process. I want to be part of it. So that's how or why I joined politics. Now, when I was thinking about politics, now which party? Then came Labour Party, because they are for general people. They are for people like you and me. And I always had that mentality of workers, like union, general people.
Yes.
I feel for them, I work for them. So Labour Party was the way to go because they are for general people.
Definitely.
So, and I voted for Labour Party before I joined Labour Party. So that was the easy choice I made. After joining it, as a migrant, I was looking for a way to work in the Labour Party because party mechanism or political mechanism is very different in Bangladesh.
Okay.
Right? So it's different. Like every country has different mechanism. In Australia, I had no idea. I was never involved in politics before. I never had any intention. Life change. Well, I think my life can teach people that life changes all the time. The direction can change.
Sure.
You never know where you're heading to. So I never had any intention of joining politics. But then I thought I'll join. And after joining, I thought, all right, so what do I do? Where do I go? Whom do I talk to? But slowly I saw people who, like I approached them. I want to talk to you. I want to know more about it. I worked hard. I worked hard in the sense I joined various meetings, conferences. Even I went to interstate to learn.
Yeah.
It's not about like showing me, okay, I'm there. It's not that. I joined there because I wanted to learn. I wanted to know more people.
Sure.
So I was very open to learning, and that's how I started learning.
So once you join a political party over here, you talked about those mechanisms.
Yeah.
I'm somebody who wants to understand that as well because I'm interested in policy making and setting up a representation for a particular community myself. But again, I have no knowledge of how the political system over here works or how the how the mechanisms of the
Yeah.
party itself work on the inside.
Right.
So once you join a party, is it that you have is it more about maintaining your presence within the party activities? Like the more you show up, the more you get highlighted, and the more you progress, or is it that you are given a specific position that you have to work on, or they give you projects to work on, and then based on those project performances, then you get ahead in the party?
I think it's more about what contribution you are making or you can make, both of them, I think. And what contribution you are making and you can make in future. How you're representing the people. So it's not only, let's say for me, I'm from Bangladesh, it's not about representing Bangladeshi people.
It has to be for everyone.
For everyone. So if you talk about I'm not an expert, but what I saw here is more about, you have to be regular in the sense that you can't disappear.
Of course.
So there is normally a branch. So you have to join a branch. If you live somewhere, there's a branch, ALP branch. I went there. It took me some time to understand where the branch is because so it was not easy. I started from zero. So then I found the branch. I spoke to the secretary there.
Yep.
And after going to the first meeting, I told the secretary, I want to talk to you. Yeah. So I think those sort of initiatives helped me to understand. All right. And then there is a principle or platform of every political party. Not every, like the big parties. So I went to the ALP platform. I read the details, which are the particular areas I want to work on. Like education was one thing for me. And then refugee asylum seeker, human rights, then Australia and the world, this sort of thing. I got interested. And then when I started going to the different conferences, meetings, started knowing people, then the learning started.
Okay.
Yeah.
How does one balance this work with a full-time job?
Yeah.
Because that's the biggest question, isn't it? Like you want to do something for the community, you want to be active, you want to represent something, but at the same time you have your bills that you have to pay.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
So how does somebody balance that?
Yeah, you ask $1 million question. It is actually very difficult. I went through this difficulty. Well, I'm still going through that difficulty because I have a full-time job.
Yeah.
And how can you survive without a job or
Of
business,
course.
whatever?
Of course.
You have to have a source of earning. But politics, social work, these things never pay you. These are all
voluntary work.
You have to spend money on it, actually, if you
Yes.
travel somewhere or if you go anywhere. So it's difficult, especially if you have young family with young kids, a spouse. It's difficult. I mean, that's the only answer I can give you. But perhaps you need to prioritize. If there are 100 events, you cannot go to 100 events. You have to prioritize which one I should go to or I want to go to. Then prioritize in the personal life. For example, in our South Asian culture, our social life is all about attending parties.
Of course.
All right. So not party, dance party, but we
Events.
go to each other. Events.
Or visiting people, their homes.
Right. That's
visiting
our
homes.
that was my weekend.
Yeah.
I used to have 4 or 5 parties over the weekend. Like I used to invite people, go to another event, but I had to cut it down because I had to prioritize because I need to organize my life. For next 5 days, today is Sunday, next 5 days I have to organize myself.
Yes.
Next 5 days, the food,
Yes.
the kids' clothes. I mean, these are practical things which are not in social media. I have to organize everything, right?
And especially coming from South Asia, because we're so used to having like maids and servants over
exactly.
there. And
Yeah,
we don't. Those are things that we don't really think about. But now over here, you're cleaning, you're cooking, you're doing
You're
the
the
groceries,
drivers,
you're the driver, you're doing everything, and on top of which you then have to do all of this as well.
Yeah, I think that this particular thing pulls people behind because people can't manage everything. It was very difficult for me, but I had to take that hard decision. But it was hard on me because it was very difficult. Before leaving and all these things happen in the evening.
Yes.
All these meetings, because everyone has job and people go to this meeting after finishing the job.
Sure.
When you have young child at home,
It's very difficult.
then like as a woman, in our culture, we cook, most of the household things we do. So I had to organize everything before I went to meeting. It was difficult, but you have to organize. I think setting a priority, like prioritizing your work and also time management. Time management is so important. I see a lot of people, they're busy for nothing.
Sure.
So they're busy.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do. Some people are busy. They're busy being busy. But setting priority and time management is really important.
Yeah.
So if you organize yourself, you can find some time. It is never easy. Life is not easy. But you can do it.
You can do it if you prioritize.
You can do it.
I feel that a point that needs to be added here is the role of the partner. That is very important. How would you describe your relationship with your husband during this time?
My husband helped me. Yes, my family is not here.
Okay.
So, yes, he helped me with a young kid that time. Now my son is a bit older, so he's 13 years old now. And so I don't have to worry a lot. But still, as mom, he is still dependent child.
Yeah.
Partner's role is very important. It is very important. I don't believe it can hold you back. If you are determined to do something, you will do it. But when the partner helps, then it becomes easier. You don't have to fight for it.
Of course.
And I personally think that in certain cultures especially, I think it happens in all culture, when men want to do something extra, like a business with job or social work with job, they get the support from wife.
Yes.
All right. But I don't think it's happening other way.
The other way around.
Yeah. When women want to do it, they always get the objection. And seriously, I don't see it happening. Like I've spoken to many women who are in my area. They never say that it was easy. Like it is kind of fight. It's a struggle to get the support. But I really appreciate men who are supporting women in doing some extra things, because in the end, everyone has the right.
Yeah.
If a woman can do it, if she's just like kind of passionate about doing it, the husband needs to support it. And how can we support it? By doing some of her work, which is traditionally thought that it is her work.
Yes.
Although it is not her work, you know what I mean?
It's work.
Everyone's work. It's everyone's work. But traditionally, we think some works are for women, some for men. But if the husband is cooperative, I think the person can help the wife in doing some of her work so that she can get some time to do the thing she's passionate about. So in that way, we can be very productive.
Yeah. I also feel that there are a million things from our cultures that we are very proud of, that we think that we want to propagate and we want to take forward. But in saying that, there are also a few things within our cultures that we need to recognize are problematic. One of them is the inherent misogyny within our cultures, that, like you said, that gender roles are defined.
Absolutely.
That housework is a woman's work.
Yeah.
Taking care of the children is a woman's work. Right. If there is anything that needs to be cooked or cleaned or taken care of, that's the woman's work, and a man doesn't have anything to do with it. I think these are certain things that we need to unlearn, because once you let go of your past life and you are born again, like you said, in this country, right? Unless you accept these values the way they are over here, you might progress, but you'll progress very slowly. If you want to progress quickly, if you want to achieve a goal quicker, it is important for you to recognize that your partner can be an equal or even better source of income for the household. She can be a greater source of support for you financially. And even if it's not about financials, it's also about recognizing the fact that a woman can also have aspirations to do something for her own self. Absolutely. Even if it doesn't give you any financial benefit, she can have the aspirations to do it, because she herself is also a human being living her own life.
Exactly.
So I think these are some of the things within our culture that we're better off unlearning them.
Yes, and that needs to be changed, and we need to work on it. I keep thinking about it and working on the women area for some time. We need to change this mentality. Now, how do we do it? That's a whole big conversation. But we also need to think the value that will add, the thing you are saying, the value that will add to our next generation.
Yes.
We need to show them the right thing. We need to set the right example.
Yes.
If they see a strong mom or the person who's contributing in the society, in like a successful mom, you know, that will add so much value
to a child growing up.
And they will set an example. The child will be actually stronger in that case. I'm talking about our culture, like how we see it. Things are changing. like in Bangladesh, the prime minister is woman for a long time, and we had female prime minister, like long time back, and still there. So things are changing. Obviously, we see empowered women, but in general level, in ground level, we need to work more to change this mentality that it is women's work. Or, well, I may sound feminist. I am feminist actually, but women wear a number of hats. All right, so we are mom, we are wife, we are doing job, and we are doing everything. After doing all this work, if she is expected to do more, then it is injustice. This is injustice. Yeah.
People get very triggered when you say the word feminist these days. You know, especially Muslim men, they get very triggered when you say the word feminist. But I think that is because of a crooked understanding of the term.
That's true.
Because yes, there are radical feminists out there, and that is also a wrong representation of women. But if you go down to the actual understanding of what feminism is or what feminism stands for, I believe feminism goes hand in hand with Muslim principles. You cannot be a Muslim, you cannot be a good Muslim until you are a feminist. You know,
that's true. You pointed it right.
You know,
yeah.
So okay, bringing it to now your story. So now you are in that capacity as part of the Labour Party, as part of taking volunteer work on with all of this. How did you come up with the idea for CDNI?
Okay, yeah. So CDNI is the organization I run. So it's called Cultural Diversity Network Incorporated. So the starting happened. Where should I start? So I told you about SSI, how I got involved. It gradually took me to an organization. I mean, the voluntary work took me to an organization called Shakti.
Okay.
Shakti is originally from New Zealand, but it had a branch here that was dealing with domestic violence of migrant women.
Okay.
Women of color. So I got involved there. I mean, that's interesting, like how my life took me to different places.
Yes.
All right. So it's not that a personal experience I had. I never saw victims of domestic violence till then. But when I started working in this organization, I started seeing women of color who are victims of domestic violence. And then I started advocating for them because I could see what the gap was. All right. And they never had a spokesperson for them. So long story short, I worked with I became friends with some people there. Then I got to know more people through this journey, SSI, Shakti. And then all like-minded people, we decided that we want to have an organization where we want to do this thing. Because when you are part of an organization, you have to follow that principle, what the focus, what the mission is. But we found that there are holes in the system, and we want to work on that. We don't want to repeat what is there. We don't want to repeat the system, but there are certain things where we saw gap. All right, so we thought that, all right, we want to work on this area. One big thing we found in the process of all this work, that grassroots people are kind of disconnected.
Yes.
All right, so for example, absolute asylum seekers, refugees, Rohingya people, Bangladeshi people, Sri Lankan people. There are systems there, but somehow grassroots people are not connected. The system cannot reach the grassroots people. People are suffering there. Okay. But we had that connection. Okay. So CDNI, interestingly, the name is reflected in the board. If you look at our board, it's very diverse. So we all like-minded people decided to have an organization through which we will work with grassroots people. So that's how CDNI was formed just before the COVID started. And then the COVID hit the world, and some of our priorities were, reformed. For example, when CDNI started, COVID started, then government put heavy emphasis on giving digital literacy to seniors. If you can remember what happened in COVID, people were isolated. Yes. And we were connected with the migrant community. And in Western Sydney, there's a large population of migrant seniors. And then we started thinking, how can we help them? They don't need money, but they need company, they need connection. And then we started doing digital literacy for seniors, and we were very successful because we were the only organization which were doing digital literacy for seniors. And then we started doing it. That was a big success. We were in mainstream media, and other things were happening like mental health programs, then domestic violence support. Like we were doing awareness programs, but interestingly, the work, like women call me because they know I'm an advocate for women's rights.
Yep.
They call me for domestic violence support. I have training, I'm qualified, but I didn't have the capacity. I always had full-time job. I always had the young family. I was involved in politics. I didn't have any capacity to give case management support. Case management means like if someone like you come to me from day one to ultimately you are all okay, like you're established, it's called case management. So helping you to navigate the system. I didn't have that capacity, but people were coming to me because they were not comfortable going to the mainstream organization. I don't know why. I think one main thing is they feel those people don't understand the culture. They have the hesitance, like talking to people, because imagine that time CDNI was a small organization when we started. We were receiving fund from, like we were applying for fund, receiving small fund for small projects. But that time, how can I help case management support? But I couldn't reject those women who were coming to me. And I told them, please call DV New South Wales, they will help you. No. In our language, you say, sister, you please help me. You help me. So I couldn't reject them. I started doing all by myself, and I said, no, I can't do it. And more demands were coming. Like people call me, still they call me like 000. And so then I applied for a fund. Club Grant gave me a fund. And then we started doing case management with a qualified worker. Yeah. So that's how CDNI started surviving, but still struggling with fund. Small organizations do struggle, but I think we have done a lot of work. We have a wonderful team, like the board members. They are all very passionate from different backgrounds, from different areas. Even now we have people from Melbourne, Newcastle, so in different places. But they're very passionate, and they're all qualified, good professionals. That's how CDNI started its journey and still going, looking for fund to do more work. Yeah.
Amazing, very impressive. So while we're on that topic, it's very interesting to me that one woman reached out to you for domestic violence support, and then another one, and then another one, and then you said that more and more women were calling you. It's interesting because you never advertised this.
No.
You never put it out in public that we're providing this kind of service. So what that means is that there was some internal network of women who were going through domestic violence themselves, and they didn't have an outlet on who to contact.
Yeah.
Right? And then one woman sought help and she got some kind of help, and then she must have told other people. Yeah. What that tells me is that there is a huge requirement for an outlet like this. Yes. And if these women are not actually going out to DV New South Wales, then that, like you said, there is a disconnect to the grassroots level. Yeah. Yeah. The facility is there, the government is there, the government wants to do that work, they want to provide that support, but they're not getting to the actual victims.
Yeah, you're right. There is, that's why we are saying we need more culturally appropriate domestic violence service. That's important, particularly in the area where we have more migrants or people from diverse background. That's what we found, that people are hesitant talking about it. They want to, if you understand the same culture, they are ashamed of saying it. What will people think? That's why they want to talk to me. They wanted to talk to me confidentially. Sure. That only you know it. What do I do? But they're helpless. Yeah. They're the first generation. They don't know what to do. Sure. And so that's why they contacted me. Yes, I always, not always, like since I started my community work, I became a spokesperson for them. I became their voice. Sure. And some of my news were in the newspaper. And in this social media age, things went to social media. Then people started knowing me about my work, particular work. So then probably someone told someone that, okay, she actually is in the area of domestic violence. You won't believe, like about 99% women call me. I have no idea who they are. All right, so I never saw them before. Yeah. They just call me, can I talk to you? and the messenger, I get message, can I talk to you? And interestingly, after I help them, I've seen them all surviving, how they go through the whole process. Once their feet is on the ground, once they want to buy things, like want to settle, they call me, what car to buy? I said, wow, I have no idea about cars, seriously. Yeah, so that's the thing. That actually tells you a story that they don't know what to do. They don't have a network here.
Sure.
So once they get the help from me about domestic violence, they think I know everything, like a car, like what refrigerator to buy. Seriously, I have no idea. Like, I'm pretty bad about car and everything. So, but that makes me think these women are so helpless.
Yeah.
They want to, they think I know everything because they saw me as an helper or someone who is helping.
Yeah.
So yes, there is a disconnection. Yeah.
I believe there is, in saying that, there is that means that this is something the government should definitely look at. Like, they should involve more ethnic people within their DV programs. They should have more ground workers who are from those same communities.
Yeah.
Because like you said, the woman would tend to open up more to women from their own communities rather than from somebody else.
Yeah.
I want to talk more about the domestic violence cases that came up to you. So there's a lot to unpack over here. First is the fact that if somebody is actually going through domestic violence, the first thing is that there is denial. A woman who is going through domestic violence might not actually accept that she is going through domestic violence, right? Until it gets to a point that it either becomes life-threatening for her or for her children, or it becomes physically abusive.
Yeah, right.
And people tend to confuse this, that just because somebody is not being physically violent with you does not mean that they are not subjecting you to violence. Because there is mental torture as well. There is psychological, emotional violence as well that is inflicted upon you. There is financial violence that is inflicted upon you. And a lot of these women are coming from backgrounds that they're not really literate. They're not. They don't have degrees or qualifications that can help them get employment. That can make them financially independent. So all in all, they are stuck in this very weird situation where they cannot leave the person who is actually subjecting them to the violence.
Absolutely.
Right. So tell us something about that. It's a very confusing and a very complex problem.
Very complex. I can talk 24 hours about that.
Yeah.
This matter is so close to my heart, and I learned all these things by dealing with this matter. First of all, you said that people actually don't understand what domestic violence is. That is where the awareness program comes to the picture. What is domestic violence? Yes, as long as it is not physical, people don't understand.
Yes.
All right. Physical, yes, I think more or less everyone understands. If someone slaps or, it is domestic violence. But people don't understand a lot of other violence, emotional, psychological, sexual violence.
Of course.
Some cultures still can't accept, about sexual violence in married couple.
Yes.
They think, what is sexual violence? It's accepted husband-wife.
Yeah, how can a husband rape a wife?
Exactly.
How's that possible?
I heard it.
Yes.
Actually, it happened. A counselor from a certain culture said that, and he laughed. And he said, what? He's your husband. He can do whatever. Anyway. So people don't have this understanding. That's the awareness program thing. So I run these awareness programs to tell them these are the domestic violence. These are types of domestic violence, what you can do, what you should do. Now, if I had pen and paper, I could write it down. But I think one important part is for religious leaders and community leaders. So in many places, people talk to the religious leader or community leaders first.
Yes.
Okay, so then it is important to identify, or this is actually a danger point. She needs to talk to an organization. She needs to talk to police. By referring them to she, I don't indicate that it only happens to women. It happens to men too.
But majorly it happens to women.
So definitely, it automatically comes to me. So religious leaders, community leaders, they should play an important role here by identifying them. And all men, women, everyone needs to learn it, what domestic violence is. That's the first part. If they identify it, I had many cases, people wanted to talk to me through another person, that your friend is Sabrin, can I talk to her? Because my husband does this physical torture to me every night in front of my pretty big kids. but I want to talk. Then when I wanted to talk, they didn't talk because they got scared that if through me the news goes out, all right, what they're worried about is their society first.
Yes.
Society comes first for many people actually, because they think, all right, what will the society think? How can I survive by myself?
Yes.
So that's one thing. Then second thing is, how will I survive without financial support?
Yes.
And if you see it, I don't have the data, but most of these domestic violence victims, women, are actually not financially independent. And that actually holds them back to the abusive relationship.
That's the key.
That's the key. Because once you are financially independent, at least you can think about leaving that abusive relationship. Once you're not independent, then you are stuck. That where will I go? All right. So
and to that point, if I can add, once a woman is financially independent as well, once a man knows that the woman can earn for herself, the man will end up respecting her more.
Absolutely. Very good point. Very good point. She carries certain weight.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, she carries certain weight.
If she can stand up for herself, the man will listen to her.
Yeah, and look, if you work, you will have certain confidence.
Yes.
You will know how to talk to people. You will know how to navigate the system. Right now, probably, I don't know a lot of organizations that are helping. But once I start working, giving you an example, I will know, all right, if I don't know, I can search Google. I can find that information. The smartness comes to you, like confidence, smartness, the ability to communicate. I've seen many women who are very housebound, and they don't feel confident talking about it. They are hesitant about going to domestic violence awareness program. This is another thing. If you organize an awareness program by putting it on the social media and highlighting it in the community center, no one goes there. Because if I go there, what will other people think?
Yes, of course.
What will my husband think if I go there, you know? So I think domestic violence awareness program needs to happen more in the grassroots level, informally. The information needs to go there. It's not only about financial independence of that person. It's also about knowing the family law here. This stops a lot of people because here the family law gives you right. Like even if the woman doesn't earn, she will get the share from the husband because she contributed in different ways.
Yes.
She looked after the children or child and stayed home, looked after the house. So her contribution is recognized in the family law, and 99% women don't know it because it's a new country, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about who are not first generation migrants. I don't deal with them in domestic violence area. So I don't know what they know, but migrant women don't know about this financial family law.
That's huge. That's a huge piece
That's
of
a
information.
huge thing. That's a huge thing. I didn't know either. After dealing with these things, I know.
Yeah.
So imagine a woman is going through domestic violence and she's thinking, all right, I have these children. Where will I go if I leave these men? All right. So if like I have to, actually someone told me that I have to go to the street. I have to live in the street because I will be homeless. No, that's not the situation. There is emergency refuge here. If you report it to the police will connect you to organizations who will give you emergency support. Then support is available from the government for it's called immediate support package to even relocate yourself. Sure. Once you are relocated, they give you maximum $5,000 to buy stuffs. Then you get some discount from housing. I'm not saying it's very easy, but it is possible. All right. So government encourages you to leave abusive relationship. No one knows it here. All right. So unless someone is beaten to death, so those people do not report it to police, and police do not know it. We only know the cases which are reported. Yes. There are many unreported cases because they are so afraid of leaving a relationship. So financial independence is a very big thing. I encourage everyone to earn. And that earning it's not only about the dollar, it gives you confidence. It gives you the ability to communicate, to live in the world, going out there and get the information yourself.
Become more empowered.
More empowered. It's not only the dollar obviously carries weight, but a lot of things comes with the thing, with the job, business, whatever you do.
I also want to make this conversation very informative for any women out there who are listening to this, who might be going through certain circumstances such as this and they do not know what to do. What would you advise is some of the initial steps that somebody who's in an abusive relationship like that, what are some of the initial steps that they can take to counter this?
I will say that many people don't want to talk to police, and with certain backgrounds, people have fear of police because in many countries, police don't help.
Yes.
Here, police is very helpful. But if you have that sort of reservation about going to police, talk to domestic violence helpline. Call helpline when you are safe.
Yeah.
So don't call from home, don't call when the perpetrator is there. So call the domestic violence helpline and get the guidance from there. Once you call, actually the process starts. So they will know, you will know, like what to do. You don't have to follow everything. Many women say, I don't want divorce. All right, you're not going to divorce that way. You have to save yourself. That's important. Today it's happening in a low level, doesn't mean tomorrow it will stay in that low level.
Yeah.
All right, the danger can go up. So you better educate yourself on that.
Yep.
So yeah, my suggestion is to talk to the helpline, domestic violence helpline, or look for organization that are around who are doing this domestic violence case management support, or talk to someone who knows about it. Okay, so this is something I have seen in many communities, that everyone talks about domestic violence without knowing about it. So because one wrong step can actually take you to jail. All right. So I always say that don't take any, because it does become a legal thing at one stage. All right. So if you take some wrong step, the perpetrator can take you to jail. So be careful about that. So only talk to people who knows about the system.
Okay.
Yeah. So talk to either domestic violence helpline, talk to the community leaders who are educated on this matter, or talk to the community support officer or the person who works in this area with the proper knowledge.
But the important thing is that we need to talk about this.
We need to talk about it.
Yeah, unless we keep on we keep on absorbing it over and over again, and women or whoever is the victim in this case keeps on thinking that, oh, it's nothing, this is just a phase, it'll just pass. You should not wait for that moment to come when it becomes unbearable.
Yeah.
And like you said, in a lot of relationships there are children involved. There are young children, impressionable children. If they are exposed to a household where violence is the norm, those children grow up thinking the same way. A person who is responsible for domestic violence, they might produce more people who are responsible for domestic violence in the future.
Yeah. Whatever you are doing, you are setting the example.
Yeah, and in the same way, if you are a strong, empowered, independent woman, you will also produce strong, empowered, independent children.
Absolutely.
And that is the most important thing to recognize.
That's a very important message you gave. This is actually very important.
Yeah.
But people don't understand. You know what people say?
Yeah.
People say in my culture and in some other cultures that, you have a child. You have to think about it and don't leave this relationship because you have a child.
Yeah.
Actually, you should leave that relationship because you have a child.
Because you have a child.
Yeah, exactly.
In our language, like there's an expression, you could probably understand it.
Yeah.
शेर शेरनी ही पैदा करती है.
एकदम.
शेरनी होगी तो वो शेर पैदा करेगी. That's very important.
Very true. But people give you wrong message.
Yeah.
People will stop you. Like I've seen it happening everywhere. That people will stop you. That no, don't leave this relationship. Just think about the kid. All right, she is young. She is teenage or whatever that age is. Like they will say, no, don't leave it. Just think about the kid and just stay there. This is so wrong. This is the right message is just the opposite. You need to set the example. If they see, as you said, if they see a strong mom, even strong dad, it's the same.
Yeah.
They need to have role models.
They need to have role models.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'll bring you back to your own story now. So this is again a very honorable, very noble thing that you are doing for the community. If somebody from your own community or somebody listening to this, they want to get involved with something similar, they want to help the people around them, what is something that they can do? Can they volunteer, or is there any opening with CDNI that they can, is there any way to get in touch with CDNI?
Yeah. CDNI, we have the Facebook page and the website, so they can contact us. They can send us an email, or like I'm on every platform of social media, they can contact me. But if they want to volunteer, they're more than welcome to do it. It's a small organization, but there are other organizations if they want to volunteer. And I'd also encourage them to have some trainings. There are many domestic violence trainings around. so in TAFE or in other places. So there is a big drive from the government to educate people.
Yes.
And I think that's important. So if someone is interested, I actually started with the training. So once I started getting involved in the women's sector, then I took some training. Then I got a good training from the New South Wales government. They were giving free training to religious and community leaders. They invited me. So I got it. But other than that, there are trainings available so that you can have proper information. And those courses or the trainings are really good. How to identify domestic violence, what to do. So in that case, you are educating yourself and then you look for opportunity of volunteering. And you can take it as a career. I had no idea as a migrant that it could be my career.
Yeah.
I got into public service teaching and other things. Then this is my voluntary role. It is still a voluntary role, but I wish it was my main role. That time then I could spend more time. Yeah. It could be my full time thing. Yeah.
It's unfortunate that in our backgrounds and in our countries, people don't have the opportunity or the avenues to explore careers like this. Because it's ironic, because our cultures are the ones that are actually in need of roles like this.
That's true. But,
to help people.
Yeah, but we don't. Look, I'm from Bangladesh. I didn't see a lot of attraction to social work back in my country.
Yeah.
Like the subject social work was not that highly popular. All right. So in my country, it's the computer science, English. Like there is a certain fascination about those subjects, But here, after coming here, after doing all the studies in education and other things, I found social work was really fascinating. And there are a lot of avenues open there. I wish I knew it before. But I didn't know.
Yeah.
If someone asks for career advice, I give that advice.
Yeah.
But no one gave me advice.
Yeah.
So you're right. I mean, I wish someone told me. Yeah,
it's also very fulfilling as a person.
Oh yes.
It's very fulfilling.
Absolutely. It's worth. I mean, I sleep very less at night because once you have an organization, the work never finishes. And I have so many careers or jobs, but it's worth. It's worth spending that sleepless night.
Yeah, especially if you see some of the cases that you're handling, if you see somebody who is now independent or who is doing better for themselves or their situation has improved, it makes it all worth it.
Absolutely. I mean, this morning, I was checking my social media, some of the women I helped who went through domestic violence, they said that you are in our prayer. That made my day.
Yeah.
Like, these are the people I helped, and they are saying that you are always in our prayer. That means they remember my help, and that made some impact, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that gives you kind of certificate, all right? That means your help helped them.
Yeah.
So that made my day, and I was thinking, it's worth.
And you can't put a price tag on things like that.
Oh, no, never. But it is hard. In the end, I mean, people hear these good things, what I'm doing. Behind the scene, there are a lot of, what should I say, there are a lot of hard times.
Of course.
It's very difficult to balance a life. It's very difficult to balance a life with all these priorities. Helping people is my priority.
Yeah.
All right? But I can't let anything go on the other hand. All right. My child is there. Look at the practical things. His school, education, extracurricular things, food at home. All right. So all those practical things are there, okay?
Yeah.
And tomorrow I've got my office, and like my son's school will open soon. All these things are there, but what I'm talking about is the work I'm doing. So if people expect that, all right, Sabrin is doing this and that, all flowery, all very colorful, we can do it. Yes, you absolutely can do it, but get ready for the hard time as well. It's not easy.
Yeah, of course. And like I said, that is what actually makes the work that you're doing so noble and worth praising. Yeah, and I wish you all the success with the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Right,
Thank you so
right.
much.
This was very fascinating to have you here. I hope that sometime in the future we can have you here again, and we can chat some more. I feel there is a lot of knowledge that you can impart, not just about domestic violence, but also about other women's issues within the society.
Anytime.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having me.
I normally end the conversation with one last question for all my guests, right? Yeah. So based on all your experiences, Dr. Sabrin, like your life back in Bangladesh, coming over here, choosing to live in Australia, you're very well educated. You have a postgraduate. You have a doctorate. Based on all of that and your social work that you've been doing, also being part of the Australian Labor Party, having an exposure to the political landscape of Australia, and all of your years of experience that you've had. Based on all of that, what is the one nugget of truth that life has taught you that you can pass on to people if they ever ask you? What has life taught you?
Life taught me, if you're passionate about something, you'll find time for that. You'll find a way for that. It is not easy. It is difficult, but you will find a way because you'll look for it, you'll work hard, and you will finally find the way. It is not an easy road. It's not an easy journey because if you're passionate, you'll explore all the options you have there. I always tell my son that I can't push you to do something. You have to have your own interest.
Yes.
Yeah, and I've seen it, that I'm pushing him for something and he has no idea, what he's doing, and he forgets it.
Yeah.
But once you have an interest, because I told you about my story in the social work, how I was looking for a voluntary role. There was no role there anywhere. Like, it was so hard. I can still remember the calls I made to look for the voluntary work. But see, now, like, I'm actually appointing volunteers in my organization. So now in this situation, and that was the situation. So if you're passionate, you can do it. But it is not easy. It's very wrong to expect that it is easy. No, nothing is easy. Another message I want to give is for women. I saw that women are not supported at home when they want to do something for themselves or for the society. To some extent, they can do things when it is job, when the money is coming, because they are seen as an earner. But if something extra they want to do, they are not supported. Why is that? That's something I don't understand. I have seen men are supported. Men can go to the meeting. I'm not talking against men, but I have seen it through my experience. I would expect the partners would support more. I would expect all the partners supporting more and inside the home, outside home. I mean, don't create an expectation too much, unbearable expectation, because that's not healthy, and that's against human rights. So I think women need the support more. I think we can see more productive women, more empowered women in that case. So that's something I want to see in the change world. Amazing.
Inshallah, we can all work for a better future. And once again, I commend you on all the work that you do with CDNI and all of your other social work. And once again, congratulations on winning the Order of Australia medal. It is one of the highest civilian honors that the government of Australia can bestow on anyone. And based on your work, like you said, it's a hard road. It demands sacrifice. Passion always demands sacrifice.
Of course.
So because of that, to be recognized by the state on the highest level, that is validation in itself. And you do not know that the work that you're doing, it is honestly changing the lives of women out there in ways that you cannot even perceive.
I hope so.
Yeah. And those prayers from women like those are things that can carry you much further ahead in life than any financial income or anything like that.
Absolutely. It's much needed in women empowerment. But I think I haven't done much yet. That's my own feeling. But I want to do more. I want to keep this work going.
Hopefully I'll have you on again, and we'll get to see what else you've done in the future.
Inshallah.
And for all of you listening, if you enjoyed this podcast, kindly consider subscribing to the channel. Give us a like, give us a comment. If anybody wants to get in touch with Dr. Sabrin in relation to domestic violence or any of the other work that she's doing, if anybody wants to get involved as a volunteer, I will leave a link to her details and to CDNI's details in the description for this video. Kindly get in touch. Until then, this has been In The Gap. I have been Hussain. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.